everyone, Hamer back with another Mission Impossible episode review. This time I'm doing Season 4, Episode 5, which is called Fool's Gold. So Jim gets his instructions in a golf cart this time. The mission: Igor Stravos is the finance minister of the Federated People's Republic. He's created $100 million in counterfeit currency from the country of Bakan in an effort to bankrupt it. The IMF must destroy the counterfeit currency, get Stravos' plates, and neutralize the threat he poses. So we get the regular team plus guest agent Beth, played by British actress Sally Ann Howes. Paris tries on an ear protection unit that he will need to get into Stravos' safe, among some other gadgets that we see. So off we head to the FPR, where Jim and Paris go to see Stravos, passing by Barney in the hallway, who's being a maintenance man. Jim comes in as Bakan's representative, Baron Rakosny, and says he would like to redeem the currency in exchange for Bakan's gold reserve the next day at 2 p.m. with the World Monetary Commission to witness the transfer. Paris is introduced as Yuri Zagar, and he is to inspect the currency to check to make sure there's nothing counterfeit in it, as there have been rumors of that. Stravos agrees and the inspection begins. Jim heads away for an appointment and runs into Beth, who acts as his wife Elizabeth, wanting to go to lunch at a famous cafe, but Jim says he's far too busy and the cafe has a bad reputation, so he forbids her from going there. Beth discusses the cafe and Mr. Zagar with Stravos, with her telling him that he's a counterfeiter and there's more. His interest piqued, Stravos agrees to take her there. Barney changes a bulb near Stravos' safe, taking the opportunity to set up some mirrors, while Paris adds an extra stack of currency to Stravos' pile, right underneath a pipe fitting. Paris returns to Stravos' office and commends him on his brilliant counterfeits, which he says will pass inspection, but tells Stravos that it won't bankrupt the country, as they actually have $200 million in reserve gold, not $100. Zagar advises Stravos to print another $100 million and arrange a separate exchange with the Baron, who has the authority to do that exchange, and he'll accept taking $3 million in gold for his silence. Stravos asks how the stuffy Baron can be induced to participate in the chicanery, and Paris advises him to be creative. At lunch with Elizabeth at the cafe, which is a haven for lovers' trysts, Stravos notices Zagar comes in with a bunch of lovely women, and Elizabeth admits that he is quite attractive. However, Baron Jim comes in soon afterwards looking for Zagar, and spots Elizabeth before Stravos can get her out of there. Stravos tries to explain that it was his idea, but Beth angrily causes a scene before she and Jim head out. Stravos tells Zagar he wants to continue their discussion based on this new development, and advises him to take Elizabeth back to the cafe that evening to a private dining room, and Stravos will get them on tape. Paris agrees, but his money demand suddenly increases from $3 to $100 million because of the risk involved, and perfunctorily tells Stravos that at this point he could call the Baroness or the Baron. Willie comes to the treasury safe as an armored car driver with a deposit, wearing some special glasses that allow him to use the mirrors that Barney planted to get the safe's combination. Giving in his deposits, he knocks over some rolls of coins, allowing him to place a mechanism over the time lock, and on his way out, hands Barney a matchbook with the safe combination, which Barney leaves in a tool chest in a maintenance locker. Paris and Beth have their private dinner, drinks, and a makeout session, with Stravos filming from the next room. He shows the film to Baron Jim, who is mortified, but agrees to Stravos' term to make the secret exchange at 5 p.m., after the pre-planned exchange. Paris comes in from the next room to celebrate and talks to Stravos about printing the extra currency. Paris, as Zagar, tells Stravos that he has trusted men to do the job rather than his government printers who might talk or who might have to go missing, and that would raise suspicion. And Stravos agrees, figuring out that Zagar had this planned all along, but he's in too deep now. Paris gets his equipment and the matchbook from the tool chest and heads to the treasury safe at midnight, which is allowed by Willie's time lock adjustment. Normally it only opens at 8 a.m. Paris enters the safe and goes down the hallway to where Stravos' plates are located, using Barney's protection device against the ultrasonic wave generators. but starts to feel the effects of the waves rather suddenly and quickly. He manages to exchange the plates, but gets very, very shaky on the way out, crawling to finally make it to the door. Gathering his strength and wits, he removes the time lock manipulator and heads out. Willie and Barney arrive early in the morning as the money-making specialists, and Barney taps into the pipes before Stravos arrives with the plates that Paris planted, which he gets by turning the ultrasonic generators off with a voice command, similar to what we saw with the bunker, January suborbital denomination. Stravos stays with Paris, Willie, and Barney in the printing room, saying he won't let the plates out of his sight, and using a quick switcheroo, Paris shows Stravos a perfectly neatly printed bill, as Barney activates a mechanism which Paris planted, turning Stravos' first batch of currency to ashes. The time comes for the official exchange as the IMF head off, and the new batch of currency is set up in Stravos' office. The vault guard is shocked to see what's happened in the other room and alerts an equally shocked Stravos immediately. The premier arrives for the official exchange, and the commission official immediately sees that the money is counterfeit, with a mark on the king's face that shouldn't be there, and a full investigation will have to be done. The premier indicates pointedly that the government of the FPR had nothing to do with this, and as everyone heads out, leaves behind a pistol for Stravos. Mission accomplished. I'm going to give this episode a grade of B. That's actually significantly higher than I thought it would be before I rewatched it again. I think I probably went into it with some preconceived notions. Not that this was incorrect, but some preconceived notions of, well, it's going to be another episode with Nehemiah Persoff, who we sadly lost about a week or so ago at the age of 102. Rest in peace, Mr. Persoff, for all your wonderful work. I'll come back to that a little bit later. First of all, about Mr. Persoff here, he's unfortunately on this show, I think he's kind of typecast. This is his third go round. His final one, if I remember correctly, and he's basically played the same role in all 3 episodes that he's in. He's basically played, for lack of a better word, a greedy slimeball, right? And he does it so well. I mean, what else can you say? He's really, really, really good at it. So he's really the only guest star of significance, and like I said, he's just so perfect in this role. Also really, really good. I liked Leonard Nimoy as Paris playing the giggling slimeball as kind of a contrast to the greedy slimeball. Nimoy will play that role in a lot of other episodes this season and next season. And when he does, I think that is some of his best work on the show. He gets to show a lot of flair and, this kind of like devil may care attitude, and it really works well. I love his role here. There are a few different scenes here. The dialogue in this episode is pretty droll and dry, I guess you would say, but it's really, really excellent. Like just some of the exchanges are so great. Like when Paris says, it's like, I don't know what I would do when I was risking my life. I don't know what I would do without it. And, in the beginning, when Jim tells him that, the ultrasonic waves can fry your brain, Paris is like, he almost reminds me of his role as Spock on Star Trek, where he says, I'll try to remember that. It's really, really good. Even the line with Stravos talking to the Baron Jim, who's like, so mortified at this idea that, his wife is embroiled in a scandal, and with another man. And Stravos just says, well, we all have to make choices sometimes, and it's just so matter of fact, but it really works well. I love the dialogue in this episode. Um, I also really do like the pacing of this episode. Nothing about it feels like there's any padding or plotting or anything like that. I think it really works well. They could have the producers could have spent more time in with the cafe scenes, for example, but they didn't. It was only a minute or two. That's all there needed to be. The focus is really on the action and the mission, and I really like that. Another really good sequence, another thing that could have ended up with padding or plotting, the sequence in the vault where Paris is switching the plates, and it's got the threat of these ultrasonic waves. I really liked it. Some might say that it took a little bit too long. Your taste may vary, but for my money, that sequence really had the right amount of suspense. I felt that it had some tremendous camera work, just with the angles and and the special effects of the little tidbits of music, that little boink 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 when Paris is feeling the effects of those waves. I could actually kind of feel the disorientation and the vertigo that Leonard Nimoy is trying to portray there. And I think that sequence is really well done. For my money, it kind of came a little bit close to maybe taking up a little bit too much time, but I was okay with it. I really liked it, and I thought it was just fine. Sally Ann Howes as the guest agent, I think, is a really good fit for this episode. She carries herself with a certain kind of flair. I totally buy her as this kind of baroness figure. I think she fits that role really well. I didn't know very much about her. I looked her up on IMDb and Wikipedia. Sadly, we lost her in December of 2021. And she's actually a very prolific actress in theater and in UK television and movies and that sort of thing. Probably not so well known here in the Western Hemisphere in Canada, the United States. But as I said, I think she fits this role really well. Just the way that she carries herself, I think she's excellent for this. I wonder, kind of like with Dina Merrill in The Controllers, how well she might be suited to kind of a more mundane role. That might have been perhaps more of a difficult fit for her. But in this episode, I think she's perfectly fine. I'd say she's somewhat above average in terms of the female agents for this season. That's my opinion. The teamwork in this episode is quite decent. Of all of the IMF members, Jim, strangely, probably kind of has the least to do, but it's still okay. The only problem that I have with this episode, I honestly, went through it and I thought to myself, holy jumping, how is it that I didn't put this, how is it that I didn't give this an A? Because I really felt that there's so much good about this episode, and I can't really point to anything bad in terms of the episode itself. But the only flaw, obviously, I had to think about it a little bit. It didn't occur to me right away because the episode is just so entertaining. But the big flaw here is the lameness of the villain. Igor Stravos. When you look at the kisses of death, is he unengaging? No. Nehemiah Persoff is great, especially in this episode. He's lively and very entertaining. Is he a schmuck? No, I wouldn't say he's a schmuck. The team earns its win. They fool him quite effectively, and he's certainly not stupid, but he did get played. He really did. And while the team does earn its win, it's basically because the analogy that comes to my head is Stravos is one of those guys, and this has happened in Nehemiah Persoff's other roles as well. The same thing happened last season in the vault, which is almost exactly like this. That's the first point that I was trying to make. I went into this episode thinking, oh, this is going to be just like the vault, and from a plot standpoint, it kind of is. And also from a characterization standpoint, it is, because Nehemiah Persof's characters in both episodes, and even in the first season in Odds on Evil, if you remember that one, same deal. We see him as a greedy character who's already diving headfirst into a pool. He's already in. And all the IMF has to do is to just kind of raise the floor of the pool so that he's going to bump his head. He's already diving. He can't stop. And the IMF just kind of takes the path that he's already on and just speeds up the pace and makes him overreach himself. That is the case in all of the episodes that he's been in. And that is really the flaw here. Not in terms of the entertainment value of the episode. It doesn't affect that one bit. But in terms of being a really, really, really great villain, lameness is kind of a disqualifier for that. And unfortunately, that is what Mr. Persoff, R.I.P. again, that's the characteristic that he exudes in all of the 3 episodes that he's in, including this one. So I can't really put this episode quite up there with the elite. It suffers from that flaw, which a lot of other really good and entertaining episodes do, and that's why I give them a grade of a B or a B+, because when you have such a lame antagonist, can't really put it up with the A's. That's just what I feel. Anyway, that's my review for this one. Thank you as always for watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'd love to hear your comments as always. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.